The NBA free agency started last night, and the Milwaukee Bucks used the first few hours to re-sign three important players of the rotation. Kevin Porter Jr., Taurean Prince, and Gary Trent Jr. will stay with the team for 2 more seasons, and now is a good time to break down their new contracts and grade how the team did in the first day of free agency. KPJ resigning was the first news to break. He agreed to a 2-year $11 million contract, the second year being a player option, which I think it's a fair price. People have become pretty critical with him after the playoffs, where, yeah, he wasn't great, but I don't think that means he's an unreliable player. Ryan Rollins wasn't good in the playoffs either, and I still believe in him, so I don't think there's a reason to put so much blame on Porter after his first playoff experience. He's still 25 years old, so he has time to grow, and he proved to be pretty useful, working as a great scorer from the bench, hitting clutch shots, and even working on defense thanks to his quick hands and his willingness to jump into passing lanes. He can be inconsistent, as most players who rely a lot on their jump shots are, but if he wasn't, he wouldn't be signing this contract, so I don't think that's something we can throw at him just like that. With Damian Lillard out for most of the season, if not all, the Bucks needed more ball handlers, and I think he worked just fine in that role, so yeah, keeping him around is a good thing in my opinion.
On their feet. 3 on the shot clock. Porter Jr. Oh, what a shot by Kevin Porter Jr.
Next was Taurean Prince, who was the most surprising one since I thought the Bucks were just ready to let him walk. He was a great shooter last season if you look at his percentages, but he didn't feel that useful on the court. His defense started feeling good but dropped drastically as the season went on, and even with his shooting, he never felt that useful on offense because he could just shot, you know? So defense just forced him into drives by closing super hard on him, and he felt pretty lost on that kind of situation. So I don't know, I was expecting him to leave, and I see a lot of fans being mad with this contract, but I don't really think it is that bad when you think about it. I think people got angry because they thought signing Prince meant that re-signing Gary Trent was unlikely, but since it wasn't, I think this contract really doesn't hurt. There aren't plenty of options at the wing out there that are much better than Prince, so I don't know, I don't really love this, but it's fine I guess. Prince could be a problem if he has this huge role again, when he starts for most of the season and becomes a pretty big piece of the rotation again, but if he has a lesser role as he always should have, I don't see this as a bad thing, probably not as a good thing either, but the Bucks don't really have wings right now, so I don't know. You could do better than Prince, but you also could do worse than Prince.
37 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists for Antetokounmpo tonight. Here's Prince, corner 3, open, and he knocks it down.
The best news had to do with Gary Trent Jr. though, who signed a 2-year $7.5 million contract, which feels insane to me. People expect him to sign someone close to a 10 or 12 million year contract, so the fact that he's this cheap, it's crazy. This is an A+ move for the Bucks in my opinion. He was a great shooter, he worked on defense, he could even create his shots better than players like Prince or even AJ Green, and he proved in the playoff he's not afraid of the moment. He hit some crazy threes against the Pacers, and he honestly was one of the best players of the team. I think he might have been the 3rd best player of the season, and yeah, he signed a minimum contract last season, but we all saw that as he was like betting on himself and signing a cheap contract to just have a huge role on a winning situation so he could sign a bigger contract this summer, and he just didn't. He would be making less than $4 million a year, so I don't know, he must love Milwaukee or something because this feels crazy. The best thing about this is not just him being cheap, but the fact that the Bucks didn't use their mid-level exception to sign him, which I think it's what we all expected. Now they have this 14.1 million exception, which they can use to sign not only one but more players to the team. There are names out there like Deandre Ayton or Guerschon Yabusele that sound like suitors for that exception, and that comes because Gary's contract is that low. So it's not only that the Bucks are saving money, it's not only they are further from the apron, it's just they now have more room to operate, and they even could make some better signings that I expected. What that means is also that we cannot judge their free agency yet because they just re-signed some players and now they have to try to bring new names to the team, which feels exciting. I thought the Bucks would be operating with less money than they have now, so let's see what your horse can do. But the fact that they re-signed these 3 players without using the exception makes this a pretty solid day one of free agency. More than solid, I think this is a pretty good day one.
The three, oh, it continues! He's got a dozen in overtime!
Also, this isn't really free agency news, but Bobby Portis is also resigning with the team. He's signing a $44 million 3-year contract, which I also think it's reasonable. I'm not in love with Bobby as a player, since he can be pretty inconsistent on offense and his defense is pretty lackluster, but he's proven he fits nicely with Dennis at the 5, and I think this is a reasonable price to pay, especially now that Brook Lopez is out. We know nothing about Jericho Sims, so as things are right now, he's the only center on the team, so you couldn't just let him walk because then your big man rotation would have been even shorter than it is right now. Also, after Nash's Reid contract, I thought Bobby might be asking for more money, but he didn't. He will be making basically what he made last year, just a bit more, so this is a good contract in my opinion. John Horst seems to be pretty contained this offseason. He's aware of the dangers of the limitations of the apron, and all the contracts he signed feel pretty reasonable to me. He's not overpaying players to stay, so I like what he's done, but this is just the beginning. We'll have to wait and see what he does next to really rank this offseason, because there are for sure more moves in the making.
This season, Giannis, 8 to shoot, Portis.
So what do you think? Do you like how things start? Do you think these are good signings? Let me know in the comments. Let me know also which player would you like the team to sign now. And if you enjoyed the video and want to see more Milwaukee Bucks content, you can subscribe, that will help me a lot. That said, thanks for watching.